Okay, here we go. We're going to use conditionals to make a real deal game, okay? And I'm just going to warn you. You're going to have to be very careful. If you haven't already figured this out, if you make a single mistake, if you do anything that's even slightly different from what I'm doing here, your game is probably not going to work and it's not going to work in a catastrophic way, and it can be very frustrating. So take your time, go slow, pay attention. All right, here we go. Let's make a game where we have our Scratch Cat and we want it to move around the screen. And I would like the Scratch Cat to be controlled by the player. Okay. I also want to have a second character in the game. The character will be controlled by the computer. And the second character is the bad guy. It's going to try and catch the Scratch Cat. The Scratch Cat has to try and get away from this bad guy. If the Scratch Cat can avoid the bad guy, the game keeps going. The moment the bad guy gets to the Scratch Cat, game over, everything stops. Okay, so let's call this game, let's give it a name instead of untitled. How about Conditional Chaser? Good name, Conditional Chaser. If you mess up the spelling, it's okay. Okay, so first of all, let's work on making the cat move around. We should know how to do this by now. We're going to go to events. Hey, the green flag always starts the game when green flag clicked. We want a loop. You want to say, hey, when that green flag is clicked forever, we want our Scratch Cat to move. I don't want it to move too fast. I also don't want it to move too slow. Let's make it move like 5 steps. We can test it and see if we want to change it later. Okay, so when green flag is clicked forever, move 5 steps. We want the player to be able to control where the Scratch Cat moves. Let's go ahead and make the player use the keyboard. So we're going to go down here to this burnt orange control, or no, I'm sorry, events. Sorry, yellow events, and we want to use the left and the right keys to move left and right. Okay, so we'll say when space key pressed. Well, we're going to change that to when left key pressed. And we also want to go ahead and make another one of those because we know we're going to use the right key as well. Okay, so we should have when left arrow press key, or key pressed and when right arrow key pressed. Come up here to motion. Well, if we have the left arrow key pressed, then we want to turn left. And if the right arrow key is pressed, we want to turn right. This would be a good time to pause and make sure your code looks exactly the same. Okay, good pause. Click the play button, make sure your character moves around. This is going to be something we'll talk about later. It's real important throughout your coding to just kind of stop and test. It's really bad to go deep into your program before you find out you made a mistake somewhere. Then you have to go back and fix everything. Okay, the cat's moving around. Um, One thing I want to do, the cat is very big. Even if I make the screen full screen, he takes up a ton of space. I want him to be smaller. So actually, I'm going to take the size. So see underneath where we have the Scratch Cat here, and it says name sprite one, give some information. It says size 100. I want to shrink him in half. So instead of being size 100, I want to turn that into size 50. Now the cat's smaller. When I click the play button, he still moves around exactly the same, but he's just a little smaller. He's going to take up less of the screen, and it's going to be a little more difficult for the bad guy to catch our Scratch Cat. You can play around with that, make him 25. Yeah, you can sit there and make him size 1. He looks like a little teeny tiny pixel. I mean, whatever, but just don't make him tiny, tiny, okay? Because then you can't see him. Okay, now we're going to learn something completely new. We have our Scratch Cat. We need to add another sprite. All of these characters that we are going to eventually, when we fill this thing up, when we start making real big games, they're all called sprites. A sprite is basically an animated thing that we can put on the screen. And so in Scratch, they give us a catalog of sprites that we can choose from. We can also make our own. We're going to keep life simple and just choose a sprite. So down here, when you hover over this green cat that says choose a sprite with a little plus thing next to the green cat, we can click choose a sprite and we come in and there's all these different ones to play with. When you're making your own games, you can, I mean, these are all pre-made ones. They're all really cool. There's then later on we'll learn how to animate them. Like you can see that crystal kind of changing or whatever. Let's use the, let's use the crab. Why not? We have a bad guy crab. Now that bad guy crab is gigantic. And once again, if I play the game and I have the bad guy crab chasing the cat, if the crab is too big, it's going to be hard for the cat to avoid it. So same thing with this crab here. We want to shrink the crab down. One thing that you're going to have to be very, very, very careful with. Did you notice when I clicked on the Scratch Cat, I went do you see how the code over here for the scratch cat is different than the code for the crab? Each sprite in Scratch gets its own code. And if you put the code for this for the crab inside the code for the cat, or vice versa, or you mix them all up, your game is going to be catastrophically broken. This is going to be really important. We need to be in the code for the crab. Shrink that crab down so he's a lot smaller, or she. It could be a female crab. Okay, let's make the code for the crab. So we're inside the crab's code. We're going to go ahead and make the crab behave pretty similar to our cat. We're going to say, hey, for the crab, when the green flag is clicked, we want the crab to move around forever. We don't want him to move faster than the cat, because if he moves faster than the cat, then the game will be over quickly. So maybe we'll say, instead of moving 10 steps, maybe we make him move like 3 steps. Or if we could even say like 2 steps. Okay. Now, the crab will move 2 steps, but we want the crab to chase the cat. So inside this forever loop, since the computer is going to control the crab, what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, after you move those 2 steps, we want the crab to always forever be pointing towards our scratch cat. If you notice, our scratch cat has a, we should have changed this name. Sprite One is not a great name for our character, but we're just going to go with it for now. Always point towards Sprite One. Now, if we click the play button, the game now begins. And if you notice, as I move the scratch cat around, the crab tries to chase him. Now, at this point, the game works, except for one thing. If they collide, nothing happens. Oh, did you hear that? If if they collide, then nothing happens. Yeah, we need a conditional, don't we? Okay, because right now the game is just saying, okay, I'll just chase them around, but that's it. They're just going to chase each other forever. It's never going to change anything. Okay, let's go back to our cat. So now, if you notice, I clicked on Sprite One. I'm inside the code for the cat. We want a conditional. Down here in the burnt orange, control, we have this if something then block. It looks like the forever block, but it's a little bit different. If there's a blank, so if blank then something. Let's click that, and we want it to go inside the forever block. So look, there's the forever dinosaur right there. It's eating the move 5 steps. We're going to take this and put it inside the forever block, because we want the game to forever be checking to see if something's happening. If we put it down here, then it's only going to check one time. We want it every single time that something happens in the game. We want it to be checking to see if our crab bad guy is touching our good guy, Sprite One. Okay, if we're going to go to sensing the light blue, if touching mouse pointer, we're going to change that in a second. We're going to put that inside. See that little kind of hexagon thing right there? We're going to click it in there. See how it's snapped inside of there? If it's like that, that's not going to work. It has to snap in there. And instead of saying if touching mouse pointer, we're going to say if touching crab. See that? So now if our cat is touching the crab, then we're going to make our cat say, game over for 2 seconds, and then check it out. We're going to go down to control, and we're going to use this code block. This is the most powerful code block of all. Stop all. Stop all does exactly what it sounds like. It stops everything in the game. This would be a good time to pause and make sure your code is exactly the same. This is what your crab's code should look like. The crab's code is super simple. This is what your Sprite One's code should look like. There's a little bit more going on in there. Okay, when you click that green flag, oh boy, he almost caught me. Oh, jeez. The scratch cat is quicker, but this guy is, He just never he's like the Terminator, he never gets tired. "Oh, no, game over." And did you notice how the lobster was freaking out there while the cat was saying "game over"? We put that stop all block after we said "game over." So the code says, "Hey, say game over for 2 seconds, and for those 2 seconds, the game is not over. The game is not over until those 2 seconds are up," and then this says, "Hey, okay, now we stop everything." Okay, game over, right? If I try it again, oh, no, game over. That's no fun. I gotta move the cat out of the way, huh? Yeah, let me move the cat over here. There we go. Congratulations. You've officially made your first game. There's no score or levels or, anything else going on, but hey, that's a game for real. Congratulations. Uh, Keep hacking away. We're going to start adding way more stuff here. This is going to start moving a lot faster now. So take your time, have fun, hack away.